valuable time is spent caring for patients, not drowning in paperwork. Your patients deserve it. Welcome everyone to Biz Talk. I'm your host, Rachel Weaver. I have a special guest today with us, Stefan Whitwell. Stefan is a sought-after investment advisor and tax planner for business owners and executives across the U.S. He graduated from the Wharton School of Business and earned his CFA designation in 2000. He has real estate experience and is also licensed in insurance annuities. His goal is to unleash compassion and creativity in 1 million American lives by the year 2030 by helping everyday Americans harness the power of financial freedom. Stefan is married, has 4 children, and lives in Austin, Texas. Stefan, it is an honor and pleasure to have you with us today.
Thank you, Rachel. I'm excited to be here with you.
So I am excited to dive into asking you about international business operations because they're a little bit different than just national business. So
component to it. So we tend to think of businesses either being domestic or international, but it's the truth is it's all the above.
Yes, that's so true. How do overseas operations or sales affect tax obligations? Because that's one question that I know that I've had as I've gone overseas, and also many of my clients. So I know it's a hot topic.
Yeah, it is. So it really depends on what kind of business you're in. So if you're making a product and you're selling that product, sometimes there's a different set of rules than if your product is, say, intellectual property, for example. So it really depends on the kind of business. And every country, not to overcomplicate it, but every country has their own rules. But the good news is that as a business, I think that the hardest challenge is one that you as a business owner, if you're watching the show, have already overcome, which is figuring out a product that people in other countries want to buy. I think that's the hardest part. It's important to know and to do your research and to find the right tax advisor who has expertise in the country that you're going after. And that's key. No single person is going to be an expert in every country. So just make sure you find the expert for that particular country and help you navigate that so you can concentrate on your business.
That's such great advice because you hear all the time someone who's like, I'm going to take this global. And then the next thing you know, it's a complete flop because they didn't really take into consideration the needs or the culture of that particular country. So I know that vacationing on a place and seeing what you think they're going to like versus living there and being in the culture and in the local communities really is a big differentiator, actually. And so I completely agree with everything you just said in terms of making sure that expert is someone who knows that country very, very well, or even maybe has lived there or is from there.
Even better.
Mm-hmm. Are there specific reporting requirements for businesses with international accounts?
Yeah, so that's, I think in any business, reporting, it's not exciting, right? It's not super sexy and exciting, but reporting is very important. It makes your life easier. It helps keep you out of trouble.
Mhm.
And the way that you need to do the accounting may be different in another country. They may call certain things by a different name. And again, it's just a matter of getting it set up and creating a process and a system. And the sooner you do it, the easier it's going to be for you, right?
Mhm.
So I think just something as simple as knowing that, hey, their system's going to be different. What do I need to do to keep track of from an information standpoint? If you're manufacturing something abroad, there's going to be different information requirements because the governments are going to want to know, well, what did you buy? What did you put into the product? How much did that cost? Just things that may not necessarily seem obvious that you might need to keep track of for tax purposes. So again, another reason why. So there's really two different things. You want to understand what information you need to keep track of for taxes, but separately, sometimes countries just have information reporting requirements. They just want to keep tabs on what you're doing and how your business is operating. And so you need to know what those requirements are as well. And I guarantee you, good old Uncle Sam's going to have things that she needs to keep, need us to keep track of. So just asking, again, an expert in that particular area. Make sure that when you ask questions, though, to experts is really important. Don't ask them vague general questions like, hey, in general, if I'm doing business in Paris, France, do I need to do this? That's going to get you a vague answer. What you need are specifics about your business. Hey, I'm in this business. I'm selling this service or this product, and really get into the details. And then that's where and how you want to ask the question. Because otherwise you're going to get an answer, you're going to think you know the answer, you depend on that, and maybe it's not the answer, and get a fine and get in big trouble and, waste a lot of money on trying to clean it up. So
Mhm.
make sure that when you're asking questions about that kind of stuff, it's very specific to your business. And that's where, good old fashioned having an advisor specific to that country will help rather than just YouTube videos because they're often kind of general advice. They
Mhm.
can be useful for helping you learn what questions to ask. Hey, I saw a video and it talked about this issue. Maybe I'll ask just to see if it applies. Great source of questions, not a great source of answers.
Yeah. Makes sense. That is definitely where an advisor needs to be seeked out for sure. So tell us, because oftentimes if we are working in another country, we want to bring hires on, bring someone who is local. So what are the tax implications of hiring remote workers from other countries, or maybe the country that you're actually doing business in?
So this is a really cool, and I'm glad you asked about that because this is something you can take advantage of even if you're a U.S. business. So one of the kind of neat things about 2024 is we're able to tap into labor pools and people's talents all over the world today in ways we couldn't have done 20 years ago. So 20 years ago, if you wanted to hire somebody in India or Switzerland or Ghana or wherever, you would have needed to go there and connect with them in person and hire them in person as an employee or a contractor or something direct. Today, there are online sites, websites that you can go to that they aggregate people who work as, they outsource their skills. They say, hey, I have this superpower. This is what I charge per hour. If you want my help, reach out to me. And so you can access this, people all over the world. And it's easy. And it's pretty cool because you can, for example, if you're a US business and you want to tap into some sources of labor in other countries, you can do that without having to create what we call a nexus, a presence in that other country. Because those apps, those businesses that provide this labor online, they're the middle person.
Mm-hmm.
So those people technically don't work for you. You're hiring this app. And so it protects you from all the compliance and all the headaches of hiring somebody directly. And it keeps your presence here and simple if you want to think about it that way. And sometimes I got to tell you, I've gotten some great work done leveraging people in other places, sometimes other places in the US, sometimes other people around the world, have had websites built, have done all sorts of things, and have had really great results. There's some things you need to do differently to make sure you get really good results. But if you know how to do that and you get some coaching on that, it's a huge source of extra labor. And what's great is you can engage people for a project. You don't have to commit to hiring them full time forever. And as a business owner, sometimes that's your worry, right? Like, hey, I need some help on this, but I don't want to hire somebody full time. I just need them on this project. And you can do that guilt-free. You can do that without, you just say up front, hey, I need your help for a month, or I need your help on this one project, and you can get that. Mm-hmm. All of which is to say that the labor markets today, thanks to technology, you can access people all around the world in a very simple way. Mm-hmm. And sometimes there's a big cost advantage. Sometimes there's a time advantage, like, hey, I need something done at night while I'm sleeping, while my US team is sleeping. I need stuff done overnight. So that can be like a time advantage. And sometimes there's a skill advantage. Maybe there's a particular skill you need. So there's all sorts of reasons, I think, to, as a business owner, keep a really open frame of mind as to where you get help, finding the right help, if you will, for whatever it is you're needing done. Mm-hmm. Now, if you hire somebody abroad, there's also other apps out there. One that comes to mind is Rippling. It's like an HR app you can use to hire people who are abroad. And the one thing I would just share to kind of keep in mind is if you're hiring a couple people in other countries directly through that kind of an app, generally you're fine. The apps have a lot of built-in guidance and additional kind of upsell services around the compliance and reporting and types of issues that you might need to think about, which again makes it super easy. You don't need to know it all. You don't need to spend hours on, doing Google searches. They have the resources there for you. Mm-hmm. But if you start hiring a lot of people in one specific country, then you do need to kind of get some additional guidance, mm-hmm. because you might be seen as creating a presence in mm-hmm. that country by having a certain number of employees in that country. And once you have a business presence in that country, sometimes tax rules and other reporting rules come into play that you might be responsible for. Mm-hmm. So again, there's the good news is you can hire people directly through the apps. Upwork is one that comes to mind, but there's a whole host of them. Fiverr, is another that is US centric, but you can get people all around the world. Mm-hmm. You can also hire people directly using kind of HR hiring apps that will coach you through that process. Mm-hmm. And just know, though, that if you keep hiring more and more people directly without an intermediary, you need to start asking questions like, hey, how many people, what is this going to create a presence for me or not? Because then other rules apply. But the great news is for all of you watching is there are a lot of talented, hardworking people out there that are going to compete for your work. So mm-hmm. if you need help, don't feel you're limited to the people that are immediately around you. If you've got great people around you, wonderful. If you're needing help and you're not sure where to go, we are more connected as a world today than we've ever been in the past. And don't worry about languages too. I mean, mm-hmm. I think that's not a good reason to not hire somebody. You need to be able to communicate, obviously. Right. But I would get comfortable and get accustomed to speaking with people of different dialects and different languages, because you'll be able to tap into some really amazing people and help your business grow.
Yeah, no doubt. Such great information. I know firsthand, I do work with a lot of people overseas. I've been very successful at achieving a lot of tasks from people in other countries. So I absolutely encourage it. Sometimes it takes a minute to really make sure you're on the same page. So make sure you're asking a lot of questions when you're hiring, I think. And you can get significant work done.
Socket Fan, la increíble combinación de ventilador y luz con control remoto.
Kind of bootstrapping your business and not taking funding out, this can be a more affordable way to get really hard projects that might have cost you a lot of money here in the US, and you can get those accomplished overseas for much less. So such great information.
I'd add one thing too. You when you're outsourcing and getting help from groups like that, a key question to think about is the task that I need done fairly mechanical, or does it involve creativity? Tasks that relate to efficiency and accuracy, you can find some incredible people to help execute. You want people to be designers and creatives, it's a different hiring process. You're going to need to, like you said, Rachel, explore that relationship a little bit, maybe give them some smaller test bite projects. So that way you kind of give them a small test, pay them, see how they do. They just crush it, then give them the whole project. But if they don't do well, it's a very inexpensive way to test out a couple different people simultaneously, sometimes see who the best person is, so you can then commit to the person that's going to be the best fit with you. And then sometimes you also need to think about privacy considerations. So, if you're working on things that are really data sensitive, confidential information, that's sometimes another element that you need to think through as to who you're working with and where are they located and what systems are you going to be using to protect that data. But for a lot of tasks that we often need done in business, there are some terrific, like you said, very affordable, money-saving people, ways to get help out there that you might not have ever thought about. So definitely worth checking out and using in your business to grow and fuel your further success.
Very good. Such great information. Can you tell the audience where they can find you?
Yeah, you bet. You can give me a call at 512-766-7775 or reach out to me by email, Stefan, and that's F for financial freedom, Stefan@whitwelladvisors.com.
Fantastic. Thank you so much for being with us today, Stefan. And with that, we will be right back after this commercial break.
Are you nearly maxed out on your credit cards? It doesn't matter if you're using your credit cards for fun or to survive. At the end of the month, your statements come in, and you can either pay them or you can't. If you can't, late fees and interest rates get tacked on. And now you're struggling just to make the minimum payment due. Do you feel trapped? Am I talking to you? Good, because I personally researched some companies that can help you. They may be able to reduce your credit card balances by 50% and stop the late fees. If you qualify, please call our special debt hotline number right now for a complimentary free 5-minute consultation. Deal with your credit card problem now before it gets much worse and put more money back in your pocket. Trust me, I've been there too. Call right now.
Call 855-993-2096 right now. That's 855-993-2096.
Do you have a car sitting around you want to get rid of? Well, here's a great idea. Donate your car now to help local veterans in your area. Yes,